Yo, what is going on, guys? Wickesy, welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, I just wanted to kind of show you guys what I tend to do in order to stay practiced and warmed up for scrim games and competitive Fortnite. So let's get right into it. So to start it off with, as you can see, I've kind of got like demonstrations of everything, so I just remember all the things I've come up with. But I'm going to start it from this side first, which is 1x2s, and this is my favorite out of all of them, which is why I wanted to get it out of the way first, because it's just, I don't know, it's just awesome to build, and you're going to use it a lot in scrims. So usually when you're in a scrim and it's late game, you're kind of going to be turtled up, right? What a turtle is kind of just a box. It can be a 1x1, 1x2, 2x2, whatever. And when you're kind of expanding, usually you'll expand when you need to move to the safe zone, or you're quite close to the next safe zone, or if you've just killed someone that has a ton of mats that you can't pick up in your inventory and want to use them to take over as much territory as possible. So how you do this, or how I do this, I guess it's kind of preference, you can work out your own way of doing it, is by editing out a wall, placing 2 floors, placing the walls like so, and then moving into floors again, and then pyramids, and then obviously kind of fitting this last wall in as quick as possible. And then yeah, so you can kind of just, you know, get used to this and do it pretty fast, like so. I don't want to do too many of these, but you kind of get the gist. So that's number one, that's the 1x2. So you'll eventually get really clean at it and really fast at it, and not make too many mistakes like I just did here. And it's a really useful trick to learn for scrims. You will be using these a lot. Alright, for building technique number 2, it's basically the same as the 1x2, it's just, you know, a 1x1, as you can see right here. So for this, for some reason, these are kind of harder for me to do consistently. I really don't know why. I'm just a lot better at doing 1x2s, probably because I just practice them more. But these are pretty self-explanatory. You just got to kind of expand out and build a 1x1. Basically the same thing. You can kind of get the gist of it. For me, I like to do it so that I place a floor, 2 walls, floor, pyramid, wall. So it's kind of like a nice little motion, if that makes sense. So it's like kind of easier to do and more consistent. And now the more consistently you get at these, the better. Obviously you're going to be using these even more than 1x2s in pub matches for rotating and stuff. And also what I used to do before practicing was fail my building and place a lot of kind of buildings out in the edge that are completely useless. Now even wasting 10, 20, 30 materials in a scrim game, late game, is going to sometimes cost you the game, right? Like, mats are extremely important, so becoming more consistent at this is going to win you a lot more games and save you a lot more mats. As you can see, I'm kind of not failing too much from practice. So that's technique number 2. Alright, building technique number 3. Building technique number 3 is going to be kind of how to base up and how to expand upwards instead of outwards, basically. So if you're going up hills and you've got a lot of materials, or if you want to make large bases and you want to get faster at it so you can save more time for other things, it's basically, what I like to do is use cones in my turtles underneath my feet and on my roofs, just so it's a lot easier to kind of peek out of windows and get these harder angles and stuff. But to expand upwards, all you want to be doing is editing your cone into like a ramp, editing your floor if you have one, sometimes you won't have one, and then placing walls. As you can see, I can place walls through my cone and build a base basically completely free, and I've never exposed myself at all to anyone else around my area, basically. And then if you want to expand upwards, you kind of do the same thing. You place a cone above as well, counter edit your cone so it's an opposite side ramp, and do the same thing and just kind of repeat it over and over. But obviously place the cone first and the walls first, don't do it how I'm doing it. Place your walls, edit your cone, flip your cone, and boom, make it as high as you want. And if you're practicing, I would recommend just going for as long as you can, getting the muscle memory down for it, like so. But for some reason, for me, I have a bad muscle memory of it, where I edit the roof of my cone and then place the walls, which I wouldn't recommend getting used to that, because obviously you are exposed for a few milliseconds, which, you know, could cost you HP or whatever. Alright, scrim building technique number 4. This one is more for rotations, but can also be used to kind of take over more territory without using too many materials. If you are planning on using this to take over territory, it's a lot better when it's built out of metal or brick, because people do tend to start shooting through the ramps if they see you under there. So as you can see, it's literally just a wall and a ramp, and what I use this for is usually rotating, or like I said, taking over territory with extra mats. And the way I do this, it is kind of risky, but I don't see a lot of people doing this. But as long as you're kind of aware of your surroundings and know where people around you are, this is pretty free. So what you want to do is you want to kind of edit out your box or whatever, and place a wall and a ramp. And oh, I accidentally turboed it too. What you want to do is when you place your ramp, you're going to want to look at the wall that you're placing, like so. You can also do it so you look at the floor and ramp first, but that just kind of makes it a lot more awkward, and sometimes the ramp goes inside the ground instead. And as you can see, it's pretty good. It's nice to have a passageway. I usually probably use this in like duos or squads, where I have a duo partner following me as well. But as you can see, it costs barely no materials and you cover so much ground. Another good thing about this is it's pretty nice for turtling, because you can literally just hold edit on a ramp and see almost your entire surroundings, right? So that's just a quick little tip for it also. Alright, for the next technique, it's going to be one for rotations again. This is a little bit more risky, but this is for the extremely late game where the circles are really small, there's a ton of people alive, and you just want to kind of be as protected as possible. You'll most likely be using this when you are middle ground. So what you'll be doing is you're most likely going to be turtled up, waiting for the storm to come, moving last most likely. And what you'll be doing is flooring and roofing out, and then turtling up again, right? So this one's super simple. You can do as many roof floors before you one by one as possible. If you feel like you're in danger and there's someone close, then literally just doing 2 floors can be enough. You can go on for longer. You can switch it up, make it, you know, you can try to do it however you want. But this is kind of good to practice. It's not exactly a super advanced one, but it's definitely something you should practice doing. Another thing you can also do instead of using floors is you can use cones, which I think is pretty good sometimes, but you have to be careful because these things, like, let me just demonstrate, they can connect to kind of anything. They'll connect down here, low, they'll connect up high, so sometimes you kind of get, you know, a bit more up. But yeah, so you can use cones, turtle, I mean, you don't even need to place the floor. It's kind of cheaper, but like I said, it connects to random things, so it's most consistent to use floors. Alright, for this next strat, this one's mainly used for gaining some height. Not necessarily high ground or super high ground, being above the whole map, but changing levels basically. Usually you'll use this when you feel like the level that you're currently on has too many players and it's a little bit too unsafe, and you want to just kind of be on a different level where there are less players and, you know, you're less at risk of dying. So what you're going to want to do here is you're usually going to be in a turtle, of course, because it's late game, a lot of people are alive. And you're going to have a ramp placed, or you're going to have a cone placed. But either way, you just want to make sure that the ramp is facing the way that you want to leave the base from. And then once it's done that, you want to edit the floor if you have one. If you don't, then it's not really a big deal. But what you'll want to do is edit the cone so it's facing the way that you want to leave the base from. And the reason for this is so you can double ramp out. So this one, you have to kind of choose how many levels you want to go up. Sometimes you don't have a choice, you have to build in case you're being shot at. Or you feel like you're in danger of being shot at. So what you're going to want to do is go as many double ramps as you want, preferably not too many, because you will obviously get shot at late game with the amount of players that are usually alive in the scrims nowadays. And once you get to a level that you feel like you're comfortable with or want to stay at, what you're going to want to do is build a 1x1 and kind of turtle up again, right? And if you want to make it a little bit more protected, actually let me just do another one from here. What you're going to want to do is kind of do the same thing, but double layer it, like so. Oh, my game lagged there for some reason. Like so. Now the next technique is kind of like the first one. It's kind of like a 1x2, but instead of a 1x2 or 1x1, it's a 2x2. Now these are not too hard, but they are kind of useful for learning. Like I said earlier, if you have just killed someone and they have a lot of spare materials that you're not planning on picking up, it is kind of just used to taking. It is kind of just worth taking over a lot of the territory around you and wasting their mats so no one else can have them, and so that you obviously have some territory and don't use any of your mats. I'm going to give you guys a quick tip on how to do this for those of you that find this hard. Once you get used to it, it's very easy, as you can see. But what you're going to want to do is find the center of four building blocks, I guess, like this. You want to be standing around about here. Actually, I'll keep this here. And then once you've done that, you kind of want to, you know, do a nice motion like that. Now, once you get good at this, you should be able to do this pretty much all the time. And if you do want to find out where the center of 4 squares are, it's kind of easy. You can just get your floor out like so, and it will kind of pre-place one, but not actually place one, so you can kind of see where the building blocks are, or a wall, and you go to the edge, and then you kind of just like so. I explained that really bad, but I think most of you guys are going to get what I mean. Alright, this next technique is more of a kind of aggressive building strat, but it can also be used for gaining some height, or even taking over super high ground, and it is one of these two here, as you can see. And you've probably seen other people do this. It is a pretty big strat now for most pros or above average players that they use to kind of regain high ground. Now there's like different steps to this that you can learn. So to begin with, you can kind of just ramp, place a floor or a cone above you, and jump to the side and build, just like so. Jump onto the side and just get used to kind of doing this. It's quite easy once you get used to it. Now, a lot of people, to get more consistent at this, a lot of people kind of keep their crosshair near the block that they're trying to connect it to, and I've realized that this is kind of more consistent. So at least as long as your mouse touches the block that you want to connect it to just before you place it, it seems to be more consistent. But you don't have to do that. Obviously, it works if you just kind of, oh, don't do that. Obviously, it works if you just kind of flick and don't even look at the block anyway. Let me just break this real quick. But this is pretty good for gaining high ground. It also saves you a lot of mats instead of 19 up or placing a ramp and stuff. So yeah, what you're going to want to do, you can kind of mix this in with the other strats techniques I told you too, where you kind of sit in a 1x1 and you edit out double ramp. As you can see, you can kind of mix it all in with a load of other building techniques. But yeah, so this one is kind of just jumping to the side. There's two ways of doing this. You can jump to the side and jump to the middle and place a ramp in front of you. If you want to place a ramp behind you and not get shot as well, you can just look at the floor and place one. Like so, and double ramp out or single ramp, completely up to you, depending on what situation you're in. And the other one is where you jump to the far back of the floor, so that you're on top of that next ramp, which does gain you a little bit more height and save you a little bit more time to get up, but it is not necessary. Can be used in certain situations to catch your opponents off guard though. Alright, this last building technique is one I don't really need to cover, but I'm going to anyway, and it's called the 90-degree turn. Pretty much every single Fortnite player knows what this is. Even if they can't do it, they have heard of it and know like what it is, especially people that want to play the game competitively. So a 90-degree turn is basically where you build up on the spot really quickly, like so, but for some reason I'm garbage at them. So this right here is the default 90, where you just kind of place one wall behind the ramp, above the ramp, to the right of the ramp, and below the ramp, and then a floor and a ramp up. Like so. My creative lobby is extremely laggy right now. Been in this for a while. And the one I like doing, not because it's the best one, obviously this is all preference with 90s, is like, I can't do this one with this lag. Not very well anyway. Which is where I place one wall behind, to the right, to the top left, to the right. Now, some people think I do the mongrel 90s, which is incorrect. I'm pretty sure mongrel does the back, right, up, left, like so. Which for some reason I'm extremely bad at, and my walls rarely decide to place, as you can see. But like I said, all these 90s are the same. None of them give you an advantage other than the Metro 90, and the only reason the Metro 90 gives you an advantage is not because of the speed, but because of the amount of materials you need to do it. As you can see, you can already see that I'm placing one less wall per 90. And it's once you get used to the Metro 90, it's super consistent too. I rarely ever fail them when doing them, but the problem with them is the one con about the Metro 90 is the fact that obviously you're placing one less wall, so you're open for getting shot at one more direction, basically, from one more angle. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. I will try and come up with some more things and ways of practicing building and editing and stuff. I do also have another video on the way soon, another editing video. There will be a link to my previous editing map in the description if you guys do want to check that out, and there should be another map, the one I currently use, coming out in a couple days after this one. Also, if any of you guys are looking to use someone's support creator code, mine is Twitch-Wickesy. It should be on the screen right now. If you guys do want to support me, that'd be much appreciated. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys. Do drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it or if you learned anything new, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.